best part of growing up a Superman fan was, he has such a rich history. I mean, I was a 90s baby, born in 89, so I can be considered kind of an 80s baby. Anyways, but I mean, from 1938 to 9.
You say you're the last son of the 80s.
I might be. I'm definitely in that group of babies from there. But looking at,
you're also a June baby too, right?
Yes, I am.
So there you go. June 38, June 89. See, it was, it's sort of like Spaceballs, right? That means absolutely nothing, but. But we'll try to make it into something in this recording. But
anyways, sidetracked. Segues are weird. So bringing it back here. One of the interesting things for me as a character, one of the one of the interesting things for me, in seeing Superman as a character is, when you look at things from the Fleischer series all the way to to Snyder, and again, a lot of criticism towards Snyder. I think one of the things that one of the things I definitely heard from a lot of fans is that especially like Batman versus Superman, is that it's a very comic book film, where a lot of his images looks like they come right out of a comic book, and you take that and some of those images you can see them you can see them not obviously not with the obviously with the quality and the CG being differently, but you could see those coming right out of a Fleischer series, which was, I mean, for early on in my in my life, when I was young and growing up with my brother, was always one of the more interesting things to have, because I mean we would watch it all the time, and watching the old Fleischer series, and seeing Superman just kind of run everywhere or jump up in the sky, and those panels that they did, it was so comic book-esque. It was like they were just popping out at you, and it was definitely one of the early things that I always enjoyed about Superman, was that when Superman was in motion, it was just a beautiful sight to see. When when he was done right as a character. Okay, guess you're not chiming in. Oh. And the interesting thing about Superman is that when he's in motion, he's one of the few characters I always feel like, embodies that superhero mentality, because there's a lot of superheroes out there, but I think what really makes the difference between the B heroes and the A heroes is that whoever's coloring them, whoever's drawing them, or whatever image they're in, they embody what a hero kind of comes out to. And especially, you look at the Fleischer series, and then you kind of transition that into something else that wasn't as, quality, because, it was the 1940s, and so they didn't really have the amazing technology. But, you look at Kurt Allen and the Fleischer series, as kind of, in what we would probably consider in modern times of superheroes, and, with the costumes and everything that the superheroes have today, Kirk Allen's is what you would buy at the local Target and put on your kid, with how it looks and everything. But it still has the costume still has the right style and everything, that when he was moving, and when he was doing his acts of heroism in the serials. In the 40s, it still brought that essence of what you expect a superhero to look like. He had the shoulders cocked back, he had the pose, and everything about him was, always interesting. And, you look at Superman throughout the eras, And then you transition that to George Reeves, who, for a lot of people, my dad, a lot of my grandparents and everybody, he was the Superman. He was, even when Reeves and, Dean Cain and everybody else came out later down the line, George Reeves was the Superman because he had the body, he had the smile, he had the look and everything that, you imagine Superman to be. And, whether it would be in black and white or be in color, every time he moved, it was Superman, and it was, here's the hero that he is, here to save the day. And so, you always look at that and you see that type of, you see that type of personality of the character. It's something that, I've always kind of come to love of Superman, is that, he always kind of personifies that idea, obviously because he is the first superhero, but, keeping that going, not just being the first and then kind of being not just being the first and then being shelved away. He stays so relevant, because I mean, at the end of the day, as as much as we look at other heroes and we look at other things that kind of counter what Superman is, he's the hero. He's the one. He's the one that you most likely wish would always be there if there was ever any issues going on, because he can, for the most part, take care of himself.
You talk about, like, okay, he looks so brilliant, and maybe it doesn't look so brilliant in the Kirk Alyn thing, but again, the heart of the story there and the wonderment is there, right? Because it's true, the heart of the story is there in Kirk Alyn and George Reeves. That's what it was. It's really interesting to examine, because he's not an outdated character. Execution of that art form. You could pick any number of episodes. So say the Mechanical Monsters episode, these gigantic robots, very Fritz Lang Metropolis, not the Metropolis in Superman, but Fritz Lang Metropolis. The kind of mechanical Art Deco, the kind of stuff that you would see in Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. They took that kind of pulp sci-fi giant mechanical robots, and they have the antennas and the electricity and stuff, and Superman using his X-ray vision to see what they're doing and realizing that they're being controlled via radio, and then he's trying to fly into them, and he winds up fighting with them. He winds up tangled up in electrical cables, and then gets free of that and kicks down the door like a boss, and is taking on all these gigantic robot, the Mechanical Monsters. And then the main villain he's got Lois Lane hostage and tries to drop the lava on Lois, and Superman just puts up his cape and it flows. I mean, it's the incredible cinematic, artistry of that, being that it's a visual medium with these cartoons, but what the Fleischer Studios was doing was just top grade. But again, you have all that available to you because of all the different things you can do with Superman, right? Like, he can do that. He can get caught up in the electrical grid and survive. He can just roll lava off his back like water off a duck's back. So not just to say that, well, he's invincible, he can survive anything, but to do it in this dramatic and extremely cool way where he's saving Lois Lane and saving the day just in the nick of time.
Right. And well, for me, I when I think of Superman, I think of the idea that he's always watching us, and he's the guardian of the world. And so one of the iconic pictures I think of, especially when I think of Superman, is him hovering in the sky and looking out onto the world. I think is it's just so beautiful. It's so majestic of an idea when it's done properly. It's one of my favorite things I think of Superman, just in general, whenever he pops into my head.
The Alex Ross painting, is that the one you're referencing?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. And it's been done, countless times. I mean, one of my personal favorite images, whether you like the movie or not, but Batman versus Superman, where the lady's holding out the hand and he's just he's just there, He's just there with the sun in the background, silhouette picture of him floating. I mean, that image in general, no matter if it's in space or, however you want to do it, when it's done right, it's just a beautiful image of him.
Well, yeah, I mean, the criticism for that scene you seem to hear endlessly is that, he's hovering there and she's reaching out for you, man, and you're just looking at her, and everybody, I
anytime now.
The point of that. Well, I always took the point of that sequence is that he's more. First of all, it's in slow motion, so it's not like she's there and they're not staring at each other awkwardly. It's in slow motion. It's only a few seconds worth that was slowed down. Zack Snyder status. But I always took that moment to be more of the idea that, especially because think of the sequence that it takes place during. So it's more the idea that he went to this flood and he's sort of caught off guard by the fact that they painted his family crest. They painted his Superman S on their roof. Not SOS, not help, not the kind of things that you would see in real life during a flood like that. But that they painted and called to him. I think that was more the thing that he's sort of looking at that, like that if you could imagine, that's the first time that he helped somebody in a flood. That's the thing, and I always took that as the point of that sequence because of what was going on in that whole scene, or reverse that. The point of that little scene because of what was going on in the whole sequence. But just ultimately that it's kind of a meta thing. He has such a huge impact on the people of the world, both in real life and, of course, within the movie.
And thank you, everybody, for listening to this. Now, if you do enjoy this, and if you're excited for that, okay. This is always...
I like how all the stuff that was your idea, you utterly crash and burn on.
It's usually how it works.
Stuff like you were adamant about is like... Pew,
okay. And hey, if you are excited about that next podcast, don't forget to hit that... Don't forget...
Okay, never mind. I'll do it myself. I'll set you up for something a little easier. And yeah, don't be... And yeah, she had you money for me. Sorry. Hang on. And everybody out there in fandom, they must feel like me. Like, just want to come in and talk with you about all this stuff. And, you make everybody feel welcome. So don't thank me. Sorry.
I'm just fucking up my lines.
Sorry, I'm trying to catch my...
Oh, yeah. Mocking me over here. Not so easy, is it there?